Welcome aboard the Ear to There podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There podcast. My name is Phil Gramlich, and I am the owner and operator of Ear to There Travel, a Disney specialized travel agency. I'm here to help you vacation like a total pro in any Disney destination, including Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, and Disney's Aulani Resort in Hawaii. You can find my blog, podcast, money-saving tips, or request a free no-obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. Thank you so much for listening, and now on with the show. The Walt Disney World Resort is known worldwide for its world-class theme parks, water parks, hotels, superior family entertainment, and much more. One aspect of the Disney vacation that often gets overlooked, however, at least in my opinion, is the food. Walt Disney World isn't full of popcorn stands, French fry, and pizza shops like other amusement parks. There are tons of amazing restaurants to choose from in all the theme parks, Disney Springs, and of course in the resorts, which will be our topic in this podcast. Joining me to talk about our favorite resort restaurants at Walt Disney World is a man who is a former fellow Walt Disney World cast member and frequent Run Disney race participant. As a matter of fact, you can call him Dumbo, Goofy, or Dopey right to his face, and he probably won't even get mad. Chris Yansick, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And I know you and I both, as we were saying before, have a ton of favorites, so it was kind of hard for us to narrow this list down a little bit.
Yeah, it really was so difficult. I mean, I was talking to my wife, I was talking to my 4-year-old daughter, asking, them for their opinions too, because I think you're right. The Walt Disney World Resort is more than just the theme parks. It really is a resort with all of the hotels, and every hotel practically has an amazing restaurant that, I just wish I was down there more often so I could enjoy them all.
I know, I hear you. I'm down there like ridiculously a month out of the year, every year. And there are still a few that I haven't gotten a chance to go to. Only a few, though. I think we, my wife and I made it a point, especially since I started the travel agency, we've made it a point to go to as many new ones and try not to hit the same ones every trip. So, all right. So we're going to start off with our favorite, what did we say? Now I forget what we said.
The casual restaurant.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. All right. So Chris, since you're the guest, you take the top of the first, and what's your favorite casual place in the Disney resorts? Okay.
Now, when people think of the Polynesian, they always think of Ohana, because Ohana is, it has the great character breakfast, it has an amazing dinner, but that's not where I'm going. I'm going right next door to the Kona Cafe.
Okay.
Now, like you, I go down there a lot, and, there are restaurants that are my favorites, and, I try to hit a new one every trip. We don't always. The Kona Cafe is a little gem that I discovered 2 years ago on my first Dopey weekend. And I was actually staying with my parents. My wife and daughter they couldn't come down that weekend. So we were looking for some place to go to dinner. We were staying at Bay Lake Towers, so we wanted some place relatively close, especially since I had to, have an early night, right?
Right.
So we decided to try Kona. And oh my God, Phil, I have been there practically every time I've been to Disney World since that trip. They have so many great dishes that it's just unbelievable. Now, I'm not usually an appetizer guy,
right?
But there are two appetizers there that I really, really love. One is the sticky wings, and the other is the pot stickers.
I've heard about the sticky wings. I haven't tried them.
Oh, Phil, you have to do yourself a favor and try them. They're great, and the pot stickers are great. I mean, you can get pot stickers next door at Ohana's, but these are 1,000 times better. It's not even funny. And then for the main course too, there's a little something for everyone. Okay, The first 3 times I went there, I had the pan-seared duck breast. Okay. Now, not a lot of people like duck. I really enjoy it. It's not something I get to have very often just because it's not on the menu in a lot of places. Right. But when you do duck right, it's amazing. And the last time I was there, though, I had the New York strip based on a friend's recommendation. And oh my God, that steak practically melts in your mouth. I could almost cut that thing with just my fork.
Yeah, for me. I mean, if you're saying it has a good steak, I'm there. I
know, right?
I'm all about a steak or a burger, and trust me, I'm right there with you.
Now, oddly enough, I'm not really a burger guy, but I love steak. I love, basically most meats I like. I'm not a seafood guy, but I actually, when I was there over the summer, I brought my friends there with us that were staying with us because we're vacation club owners, and they loved it too because there's a huge sushi selection there. I'm not a sushi person. I don't know if you are, Phil, but they are, and they just raved about it.
Yeah, I do love the sushi, and I haven't had it there. I've had it now. I'm supposed to know what I'm talking about, but the little counter, the open seating counter right across from Kona. I forget the name of that place.
Okay,
they have really good sushi. They can do takeout, and that's what I've done over there. But I haven't actually had the opportunity to sit down in Kona and try the sushi. But yeah, I've heard rave reviews about that too.
Yeah, and I know my wife, when she goes to, she's a big seafood person. I'm not personally. I'm allergic to it. Ooh. But she loves their Pan Asian noodles. Sometimes she gets it with the shrimp, sometimes without. But she just raves about it. And I haven't gotten her to try anything else there just because she loves it so much.
So, question, do you guys have you ever gone for breakfast?
We have not gone for breakfast. Personally, for me, I'm not a big breakfast person, especially when I'm down at Disney World. The reason for that is I like to be like a rope drop kind of guy, and especially you have young kids, Phil, too. Yeah. So my daughter's up early. We'll be at the parks for rope drop, and then we'll try to tire her out for 4 or 5 hours. We'll come back, have lunch, and then relax for a bit. And for me, breakfast at the parks or at the resort, anything more than a quick meal kind of just messes with my flow, so to speak.
Yeah, we're the same way. I mean, we don't do a whole lot of breakfast out, but we will do. We have gone there only for the Tonga toast because, I mean, come on, you can't beat it. It's like banana French toast, but the banana is like baked into the bread.
I know
that's outrageous. You really can't beat it, and it doesn't hurt either. Now, not for breakfast per se, but they have the lapu lapu in there too, and you don't have to wait in a crazy bar line over at the Tambu Lounge to get it. So it's nice. Yeah. It's nice if you're there for dinner, you can grab one of those too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, really though, man, we could have a whole podcast just about the restaurants at the Polynesian, especially in the last year or two with all the renovations and. Oh yeah. I mean, I could talk about Trader Sam's. I will, I think, do a whole podcast only on Trader Sam's drinks and food because that's my favorite place. I don't want to get carried away. We went to Disneyland, my wife and I, last year, and I had never been to the Trader Sam's out there. And we walked in, and I was like, "Oh man, I just love that place." And the one at the Poly is just as cool.
I still haven't made it to the Trader Sam's out in Disneyland with all of the Run Disney races that I've done out there. For some reason, I just haven't made it there. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't think to go there until after I'm back home in New York.
But you've been to the one at the Polynesian, though, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a different theme and a different, it's apples and oranges. They're both awesome. So yeah, next time you get out there, you got to check it out. All right, so you had Kona Cafe as your favorite casual, and for me, we're not going to stay anywhere near the Magic Kingdom or the Magic Kingdom resorts. I'm going to head over to the Epcot resorts and the Boardwalk. And this is going to be another weird one. I think my whole list is going to be weird. But for me, I love Big River Grill.
No, I've never eaten there.
See, I'm a big craft beer guy. I love, if you look at my blog, I think somehow I managed to slip beer or alcohol into like every second or third blog post. But they have a great, and I know it's not the only Big River Grill around. They have them a couple other locations around the country. But their micro brew, that's actually not the right word. Their craft beer selection is amazing. And they're seasonal, so they have really cool seasonal drafts that you can get. The food is really good. Burgers, again, I know you said you're not a burger guy. I love the burgers there. They have like a hickory bacon burger, which is just awesome. And if you're not a burger guy, they have a blackened mahi sandwich, which is great. But the only hang up that I have about this place is they have no fries. So you get a burger.
Really? Burger with no fries?
I know. And I always forget, and my wife never remembers to remind me. And we go, and I get in there, and I'm like, where the God, I can't get fries in this place. So they give you thick cut potato chips, which is the only drawback to the whole place. Because everything else is great. Like I said, the beer's great, the food's great. They have this jalapeno spinach dip for an appetizer. And for me, the spicier the better. I love anything like really spicy, and it's just awesome. I think, we get it every time we go there. And another thing too is I have really fond memories of this place because in 2008 we were down in October for Food and Wine. My wife Amy and I, and we saw the Phillies play the Brewers. Because I'm from Philadelphia, big Phillies fan. We saw the Phillies play the Brewers in the 08 NLDS in one of the games we watched at Big River Grill. So, and they won the game. I forget the specifics of who started for the Phillies and all, but ever since then, I've had like kind of a soft spot in my heart. And I know you as a Mets fan, I'm sure you have those moments too where you have certain places that you love because of some big sporting event that happened while you were there. So that's kind of a cool thing about like Disney, especially too. Like you always love a ride, but I think you'll love a ride more because you saw the look of your kids on your kid's face on that ride or something like that. But anyway, that all aside, the other great thing about Big River Grill is it's at the boardwalk. So when you're finished with your meal, you go outside and it's dark and the boardwalk's all lit up.
Oh, I love walking around the boardwalk at night.
The entertainment out with the jugglers and the magicians, and it's just a great place to be at night. It really is. I love staying there. We stayed there a bunch because we're DVC owners as well. And just walk like we would. I remember so many times we just after you get back from the parks and it's late, and the kids would get in their pajamas. And we'd be sitting there and we'd be like, let's take a walk. And you put them in the strollers and walk around the boardwalk. And there's so much to do and so much to see. It's a great place to stay at night. It really, really is.
Yeah. And you know what else I love about the boardwalk too? That's by the end of the marathon.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, you're right.
Anytime I hit that spot, anytime I go past the clown pool, I'm like, I'm almost done if I'm running the marathon right now.
Yeah, you're right. I think this past one was my second Walt Disney World marathon, and by the time I hit the boardwalk, I don't know how much I was running at that point. It was kind of like
You were running pretty quickly when you ran past me, my friend.
Yeah, because I saw you from like 100 yards away, so I was like, I got to make sure I look like I'm running. I wasn't gonna walk when I saw you guys, but I you know how it is. You kind of pick your spots when you're running in that, and when you're at what mile is that? Is that like 22, 23?
No, that's like 25 right there.
Oh yeah, so right, because it's after that stretch between studios and Epcot right there. So I mean between along that walkway. So I found, I run in front of the photographers. I run in front of people that I know. And then as soon as I'm, out of their sight line, I kind of slow it down a little bit. So all my pictures. You were one of the few. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You were one of the few people I couldn't get a picture of as you were going past. That's how quickly you were going.
Oh, yeah. I really picked it up for that then.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to go on to our favorite character resort restaurants. Chris, it's up to you. You go first.
Okay. Now, I asked my 4-year-old daughter for this one because she is, of course, the expert of all things character meals.
Sure.
And she said, without a doubt, that her favorite was Chef Mickey's. Now, that makes a lot of sense to me because when you go down to Disney World, really, who do you go down to see? You go down to see Mickey, Minnie, all of the gang that's on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, which is on in my house practically 24/7. I'm sure it is in yours as well.
Mine too. My son absolutely loves he's a Mickey freak. But I was actually going to say I go to see Trader Sam, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, well, that too. But, so here's why I really think that Chef Mickey's is great. Number one, let's say you're spending some time in the Magic Kingdom. You've been there all day, but you need a bit of a break to cool off, to relax, to recharge. But still you want to get some of that Disney magic. What do? You hop the monorail over to the Contemporary. And who doesn't love riding the monorail anyway?
That's the best.
And, you arrive, and as you're arriving, you can see the restaurant, you can see the characters, you can see everything all set up. You go down, and you check in, and it's just one of the most, I think, Disney magic places outside of the theme parks.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that place.
Yeah.
The only complaint that I ever hear about Chef Mickey's is the food isn't as good as some of the other character buffets, and I've heard that a lot. And when we went, I went last summer with my kids, and my wife actually just took them on marathon weekend. On the half marathon day, I didn't get to go because I was running, obviously. But she said the food was great, and she had no complaints. So for anyone listening who thinks the food's not as good, I think it's fine. It's not. I think the best character meal food as far as breakfast goes is Tusker House, but that's off the list.
I've heard that.
Yeah, but that's off the list. We can't do that one today.
Right. Yeah.
We're talking about resorts, but that's the only thing I've ever heard. The only complaint I've ever heard is the food, because you can't complain about the setting for sure. The characters are great. You have the biggest assortment of the classic characters that you're going to find really anywhere at Disney. So yeah, that's a great pick. And you know what too is can you beat sitting there eating your food, watching watching and hearing the monorail zip over your head?
That.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. I got to record a podcast in there last month when we were down for Marathon Weekend, and we recorded one in the what do you call it, the
Grand Canyon Concourse?
Yeah, that's right, Grand Canyon Concourse. And we listened to I've heard the background, and it's the coolest thing to hear all that noise in the background and you hear the monorail going, you hear the people, everyone's excited. It's a really cool, really, really cool place to go and eat. So yeah, that's a great call.
And do you know they also offer brunch now?
I did know, but I haven't had a chance to do that yet.
But I was supposed to go last trip, I think in September. The last time I was there in September, and my flight got pushed ahead, so we had to cancel the reservation.
Okay.
But that's another good option too. If you're in the park in the morning and you want someplace to escape to for a little bit before heading back out, that's something else you might want to think about.
Yeah, that's a good call. Now, let me ask you a question. Can guys do brunch? Are we allowed?
Well, you know what I think? For the children.
Yeah, because I don't know, for some reason there's always been like this negative brunches for elderly women in red hats who want to sit and drink their mimosas kind of thing. To me, I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be having a mimosa there. I'll tell you that much.
No. All right, so yours was Chef Mickey's. I'm going to go not actually very far at all. You can jump on a monorail and head over to mine, which is my choice for the character meal is 1900 Park Fair and at the Grand Floridian. And to be honest, this place wasn't even on my radar until our last trip. I'd eaten there in the breakfast years and years ago, I think in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. And it was Mary Poppins and the Mad Hatter and Alice.
I remember that, I think.
Yeah. And that was the last time I'd ever eaten there. And so my kids really wanted to do, my daughters especially really wanted to do a meal with Cinderella. And as you know, they're hard to get.
They are.
Especially when we, as a travel agent, I shouldn't say this, but we booked our dining about 2 weeks out, which is which you should never do. But because it was my own trip, I was like, we'll be okay. But we weren't, and we had to compromise.
That could be a good show for a podcast.
Yeah.
How to book your dining last minute.
Yeah, don't listen. Do as I say, not as I do, is what the main tip's going to be. But we did get a 1900 Park Fair reservation. We went, me and my wife, our 3 kids. I have a 5-year-old daughter and twin 3-year-olds, a boy and a girl. And we went with my wife's father and his girlfriend. And I'll tell you what, I didn't expect it to be great, and it was awesome. Like, the character interaction was the best I've seen anywhere.
Really?
They do this whole thing where and the food was, listen, because I'm not going to talk about the food, because the food was really, really, really good, and just a different variety of food that you can get anywhere else. But I'm not going to talk about it because it doesn't matter if the food was horrible, I would do it again, because they do this thing where like the characters take their breaks, because of course they can't be out there for their entire, the dinner shift lasts for I don't know how many hours. So they have a little break room and they take their breaks, but when they come back out, they announce them every time. And there's a voice that comes over the PA in the restaurant and will say, like, I hope I can find a sound clip. If I can find a sound clip, I'll insert it here so you can hear what it sounds like. If not, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Her Royal Highness Cinderella, and she'll come out and do this little walk, and then everybody cheers every single time, and he'll say, Prince Charming, and everyone will cheer. But when its stepsisters come out, and their names are, Chris?
Gisela.
One.
And I don't know the other one.
Oh, 1 for 2. Anastasia.
That's it. Thank you.
You got it. So when they come out, they get introduced, and they always do something ridiculous and silly, and it's just so much fun. So they introduced one of them, and forgive me, I don't know which one it was, but she came out, and our table was like right at the chute where they came out. So she came out and spotted my daughter, who was wearing her Cinderella dress, and took her by the hand, and they played a waltz, and she waltzed with my oldest daughter.
Oh, wow, that is really cool.
And then Cinderella comes out of the back and taps her stepsister on the shoulder and tells her that she's not doing it right. And she takes my daughter's hand and does a waltz with her. And her face was, I have it all, and I had my iPhone like the crazy parent. I taped the entire thing. And it was just a phenomenal experience. And it wasn't just us. It was so many little girls and the boys. My son loved Prince Charming. He thought it was so cool. My daughter, I'm worried, my 5-year-old called Prince Charming Dreamy. So that worried me a little bit afterward. But it was just it's a great experience. And then Lady Tremaine, the stepmother, came up to us and was just this miserable, in character, like perfect portrayal of what she should have been. She wasn't nice to my kids, and I love that. It's a great place. If you're looking if you're not going to, pay the upfront price of Cinderella's Royal Table, and you want that kind of character interaction and experience, 1900 Park Fair, definitely do it. Sign up. You won't regret it.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list of places to get to. It's just, as we said, there's so many great places to go that we haven't made it there yet.
Yeah, so you're not. Are you going to be down for Star Wars? I forget.
We are, yeah.
There you go. You have a couple of months. Book
I
it.
know.
Book it. All right, so we're on to the signature resort restaurants now. And Chris, it's over to you.
Okay. Now, I love going to Disney with my kids, obviously. With my daughter, obviously. I love my daughter. I love spending time with my daughter. But sometimes you need a little bit of grown-up time, too. I think you'll agree with that.
Absolutely.
So my pick for best signature restaurant is Jiko over at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Nice.
Now, it's a little bit out of the way, but there are definitely some pluses to it. And I think one of the biggest pluses is that Animal Kingdom Lodge has an on-site kids club. So if you and your wife want to spend a little bit of time by yourself, you can drop your little ones off at the kids club. They can have their own special fun time while you and your spouse are having a great meal. So that's one of the number one reasons I like Jiko. I mean, there are other hotels that have that too, but that's definitely a plus in Jiko's favor.
Will they take them for the whole week or just?
No, they won't take them for the whole week, Phil. Right. A couple of hours in the evening,
just, I just thought I'd check.
But and I'm more of a meat and potatoes kind of guy. I'll like some fancy things, but I still want a good protein base, right?
Sure.
I tried Victoria and Albert's once. It was nice, but I wouldn't really go back there. It just wasn't for me, even though, the food was amazing. I don't want to leave a restaurant hungry. Jiko, I have never left hungry. I really haven't. And even though it's African themed, it's a little bit of a different taste. It's not really spicy, but pardon me, I shouldn't say it's not hot spicy, but it definitely has some great flavor combinations.
Right.
Usually,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was saying, right, because usually you think African, and it sounds scary, to a lot of people. They're going to say, that's not something I'm into. I want my steak. I want my, my pasta. I'm not going to try something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I get that. And I'm that way too, mainly. But the flavors they have there are just amazing. Sometimes I've had I go there, I have the filet mignon, and it's a good filet of mignon, very tender, but I really stopped getting that because it's similar to the filet you can get almost at any other of Disney's signature restaurants.
Right.
They have a pork shank that's great. They have lamb chops that's great. But my favorite, it's called the Botswana style Szechuan beef short rib. And the taste of that is just amazing. I'm not sure what spices they put in there, but you still get that good meat flavor without it being overly hot or too alien, And you have to remember too, this is Disney, so they're not going to go out of their way to serve food that a good majority of their customers are not going to be interested in eating.
No, you're right about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm really. This is another one that I'm going to be embarrassed about. I've never eaten there, and we're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge in April, which is a few months away. So I'm going to try it because I'm trying to do something new, as I said, as much as we can. So we're going to try it. I wish I could add something to the conversation here. We did eat at Sanaa when we stayed there before, which I loved. But really, anywhere you eat in that resort area, to me, is going to be a winner just because of the atmosphere, just the views that you get in every restaurant are so cool. To be able to eat and see animals that you would only see on an African, savanna while you're eating your dinner is pretty special.
Well, you don't get the views like you do in Sanaa, unfortunately. But the food is great, and then you'll appreciate this, Phil. If you're going to eat there in April, make sure you get a drink first at the Victoria Falls bar.
Okay.
It's not Trader Sam's, but it's a great open bar. It overlooks Boma. It overlooks the entrance to Jiko, because Jiko is a little more closed off since it is an upper scale place. But that, I think, has to be one of my favorite bars on property.
So you know me very well already. I will hit the bar before I go. Thanks. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna give it a shot when we go this next trip. That's the thing too, is when you go to a signature restaurant, you want to make sure you kind of do your homework ahead of time and know you're gonna like it, or you're gonna like. There are gonna be things in a menu that you will like.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's not a Disney's not a. My business is selling Disney, so I don't want to steer anyone the wrong way, but it's not a cheap vacation.
No, it's not.
The signature restaurants aren't, it's not like going to Applebee's and getting a beer and a burger. It's an investment of money, so you want to make sure it's a good investment. But
one of the fun things too, not a lot of people realize this. The cost of a character meal at Disney is pretty much comparable to the cost of eating out at one of their signature restaurants.
There you go. That's going to be in my next newsletter.
Because what's Chef Mickey running these days?
Oh, geez, I didn't pay for it when I was there the last time because I didn't get to go, so I'm not quite sure what the price is off the top of my head.
Yeah, but it's up there. I know that much.
You're going to make me do a whole list of edits now. I'm going to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, Phil. I just Googled it, okay? It ranges from $45 to $52 for adults.
Yeah,
for dinner.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what you're going to pay at these other places.
Yeah. So, you go to Chef Mickey's for the kids. You go to Jico for yourself.
There you go. All right, so we're going to go, for me, I'm going to stay in the lodge department, but I'm going to go over to Wilderness Lodge.
That's one of my favorite resorts.
Yeah, the resort's outstanding. It's the best lobby, I think, in all of Disney, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to Artist Point as my favorite signature restaurant. It's just a neat place to go to eat. The menu's different. It's what you would expect in a place called Wilderness Lodge, right? I mean, it's got things on it that you wouldn't get anywhere else. It's a very rustic kind of, I don't want to say man guy kind of restaurant because it's not, but the menu makes you think of something that you would go out and hunt for. You know what I mean? So, like when I've gone, I got the buffalo strip loin, and I like that kind of thing. I like buffalo, bison. I like the leaner meats, and man, it was phenomenal. I forget what they had. It was like a potato and kale that came with it, and I'm not a greens guy per se. I'm not going to chomp down on some kale on a Friday night, but it was really, really good. And I love that kind of stuff. I like trying different kinds of meats, like exotic. Not that a buffalo is very exotic. We have them in the country, but
for some people,
I mean, it's, I'm not talking ostrich or giraffe here, but it's a really cool place. And it's, we're going to take the podcast down to a different level here for a moment. If you want a romantic restaurant, it fits the bill. It really does. At night, sit by the window, you look outside, you have the waterfall coming from the lobby of the hotel down into the pool. The lighting is awesome in there. It's a really cool place to go and just sit down and have dinner at night. It's just a really, really neat place to go. And also the mussels. They have these mussels. I forget the official title of them. But for an appetizer, you can't beat them. They're huge and they're excellent. And it's just a really fun place. And like you said, just the Wilderness Lodge itself, if you're going to take the time to go see any resort when you're there, you're not staying at a certain resort, go to the Wilderness Lodge. You can spend half of a day there walking around.
Oh, easily.
I mean, it's just, there's a lot to do. You can go to the beach. You can rent a boat there. You could
watch the geyser go off.
Yeah. Sit at the pool bar for a little bit. It's just a great place. And you can see, not really well, but they have a little, like viewing area outside. Over the trees, you can see a little bit of Wishes. Okay. It's not a great view. It's mostly trees and maybe a couple sparks from the fireworks here and there, but you get something. It's not like being to the top of, Bay Lake Tower and watching Wishes from up there, which is a completely different experience.
Now you can see the water pageant there, right? They have a performance for that, I think.
I'm going to say I'm not sure officially. Okay. I've never seen it from there.
I'm pretty sure I remember taking my daughter there. I think that was the first time she saw it.
Okay, because I know I've seen it from the Polynesian. I've seen it at Bay Lake. But I've seen it at Wilderness Lodge a bunch, but I don't remember seeing it there. But yeah, you may be right. I don't remember, and I don't want to say definitely yes off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just a great place. So yeah, if you're going to go to Wilderness Lodge, Artist Point's a great one. And they were testing a kids club recently on one of our trips. I'm not quite sure. I think they do have it still.
Yeah, I think they used to have one there.
And it went away for a while.
Yeah.
And then when I was there, you get those offers once in a while. If you're like a DVC member, we got an offer to let our kids experience it for free.
Sold.
Yeah. But the problem is my youngest held her breath and had seizures. So
yeah.
we decided to decline the offer that time. We didn't want to be sitting at Artist Point and get a text that said your youngest had a seizure and we called the paramedics. So
that might ruin the romantic evening.
Yeah, it might. So all right, so that gets us to the end of our list here. So thanks, Chris, for coming on. I really appreciate it. If anybody's listening and they want to, I'm sure we mentioned a few. We didn't mention a ton. So if anybody wants to send us or me your favorite resort restaurant that we didn't mention, please swing by my website. It's eartotheretravel.com. You'll find the links to my blog there, all my social media accounts, and a lot more. So just stop on by. Chris, again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah,
you're busy with you're a dad, you're a husband, you're busy. You actually have a real full-time job, unlike me, who's selling Disney travel for a living. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Happy to help. You have a great night.
All right, Chris, you too. Thank you. That'll do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There podcast. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you had as much fun listening as we had talking about this topic. If you enjoyed the podcast, please check out the blog over at eartotheretravel.com. It's full of interesting articles, fun stories, Disney recommendations, and a lot more. You can also head over there to request your free, no-obligation quote for your Disney vacation. I'd love to help you plan your next trip to any Disney destination, and remember, my services are always free of charge. Thanks again for listening, and watch out next week for the newest episode of the Ear to There podcast. Have a great week. Bye-bye.